for those of you online, if you would put that in the chat, that way we'll have the correct sizes ordered, and have that available for next week. So wanted to make that announcement. Thank you everybody for coming. Just real quick, I know we've got Offensive in the house. Who are you with? Offensive?
No, I'm more just in private.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you.
I'm volunteering with Magdalens, which is an anti-human trafficking organization, but I'm just here for me.
That's wonderful. We appreciate that so much. We appreciate you. So let me see. I've got to make sure that I'm visible for the cameras so that we don't. No. He'll let me know if I need to move anything. So my name's Tammy Beyer. I am the coordinated entry supervisor for Opening Doors and resident trainer. So I appreciate you guys coming out and being here. Do you want to say a few words, Bruce, while you're here?
Why don't I set the tone?
Then
you can so thank you all very much for taking time out of your lives to come and receive this training. More importantly, thank you for wanting to be part of the point in time in housing inventory count. Tammy will go into the details about why we're doing it and how we're doing it. I want to share with you an impact of how communities like ours can use this data. And Edward, am I right? Can you see me here? All right. Okay, good. So communities across the United States over the last 10 days of January do a survey, a point in time, so basically a 24-hour period to identify where somebody slept on a specific night. In our community, we're doing that on the night of January 26th. Okay, so let me share with one case use example that I think will show the importance of this work. The community that I came from, anecdotally, we were noticing an increase in, sorry, my director's giving me there. Anecdotally, in that community, we were noticing an increase in elderly women who were street homeless. Okay, so anecdotal information isn't data. You can't advocate around that. So when we did our PIT survey during that time period, we filtered the data to answer the question that we thought we knew the answer to, but we wanted to know what the data was telling us. And we also, since we had the data from previous years, we hadn't filtered on elderly women street homeless. So was there an increase? We found over a 3-year period, there was over a 50% increase in elderly women, so 62 years of age and older, unaccompanied, so single, that were street homeless. They were living in places uninhabitable for human habitation. That then gave us, within the community, the data, the bona fide data, to share with local governments and other private funding sources to identify funding for shelter. And we were able to advocate to get shelter beds specifically designated for elderly females in the supportive services that they would need. And so the work that you're going to be doing with us as we do the PIT, I'm not sure what we're going to do, what we're going to find, but it's going to give us the data that we can draw from. And we have the obligation to send it up to HUD up in Washington, but locally we use it every day in the homeless service delivery network to understand the population that we're here to serve, and then to inform the programs that we put in place so we can solve the problems, we can serve our community. So that's why we're doing this. Now, Pam's going to go into the details of the real why, but for us here in this room, this is going to help us serve our community better. So thank you. Thank you all for coming here. Tammy, saw you.
Okay. All right. So, and how many of you have never participated in a point in time count? Okay, so 2, 3, okay, so if you've been around for a while, I'm not gonna look at Jan, because she and I go way back. And did I say way back? And so, we're gonna start with some definitions and talk about what counts as homeless and what doesn't count as homeless, and what are the different categories. So we're gonna start with that. Let me see if I can figure out. Okay, all right, so our agenda, we're gonna start off with just the basics, the methodology, the survey tools, and there are 3 different survey tools. We're gonna skip the one that is centered on HMIS users, because I don't think there's anybody in here that's gonna be doing shelter data in HMIS. And then we're talking about what makes a good survey and what doesn't, okay? So the basics is the point in time count is a census of people experiencing homelessness and unsheltered and sheltered homeless. And we'll go into those definitions in a minute. But it's a national mandate. We can pick any of the last 10 nights in January, from Key West to Alaska, to Hawaii. Everybody in the United States picks one of those 10 nights, and that's when we do our counts. The purpose of the pit is to track the numbers, the demographics, and the needs of the people experiencing homelessness. And then we publish that information.
Oh, I'm not going.
Can you put it on?
I think we all have to be in the training though. Everybody's on there.
Can you mute the people? Okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay, and then we publish that data
I didn't
both
get-
to
get
our
back.
local
I'm sorry.
community and the federal,
You know,
but
I'm
it's
saying
not gonna be Joe Smith is homeless and he's 42 and he's this and he's that and he's got HIV. It's going to be, there are 867 homeless people on this night in Escambia and Santa Rosa counties. So we will ask names and date of birth, but that is only for our internal controls. That part does not get published. That is just to make sure we're not duplicating people. Okay. Why do we do it? Because the people with the money tell us we have to do it. So that's one of the things. Department of Children and not department, urban housing and urban development, also the Congress, also all of our funders. But this is our opportunity to tell our community stories and what makes Escambia and Santa Rosa different from Okaloosa, Walton, Baldwin, Mobile, everybody in the region. Okay. All right. So the main things that we're going to be talking about in our methodology is who, that's our definitions of who's homeless. Where, that's our definitions of where we're going to be going. Are you moving it?
Do you have an auto?
No, not that I know of, but yeah. Okay, all right. Where, when we're going to count and how we're going to count. Okay, so we basically break down our homeless population into 2 categories. There are the sheltered and unsheltered. So your shelters are going to be people who are living in emergency shelter, transitional, motels or hotels that are paid for by an agency, not self-pay. Domestic violence shelters, and then cold weather shelters. So, sorry, somebody keeps wanting to call, even though I'm declining. So, the unsheltered are those people who are the ones that are in the woods, in the streets, in cars, encampments, and sidewalks. Those are the visible ones. And that group of volunteers are going to be the ones that are doing the street outreach. And they are the ones that are going to be that will go ahead and go out to the streets, and we'll have those divided into teams. Everybody's going to be in a team. Nobody is a solo person going out on the street. Always go with a team when you're doing surveys. Okay. The unsheltered count is those people who are literally homeless, and we'll interview them by the volunteers like yourself. We'll either be street outreach, which is going to be a lot of offensive. So you guys are going to make a large portion of the street outreach. But then there's also service providers. So not necessarily just the shelters, but maybe there's a day resource center. There are clinics, there are feeding programs, libraries. So we'll be sending teams to a number of different places in the two-county area. And the big question, if anything doesn't stick with you, where did you sleep on the night of January 26th? That is the night, not the 27th, not the 25th. It's got to be that night. Okay? And sorry, are you letting them in or am I? Okay, all right. So just some of the places that you might find people who are unsheltered. Actually, one of my case managers did an intake today with a 62-year-old woman with a heart condition that is living in a storage unit. They're behind buildings. We have literally found them in chicken coops, truck stops. Another 60-something-year-old lady who is in an abandoned building. Where I'm working with to get her into rapid rehousing. You see, I didn't do.
I think it's obviously.
Okay.
It's helping you get through.
Yeah, making me go faster. Okay. But yeah, these are just different examples of unsheltered. Okay. Our what we call brick and mortar, and you may have unsheltered people at these places. Your soup kitchens, food pantries, health clinics, clothing closets, service agencies, all of these would be other brick and mortar, but they're also serving unsheltered people. Okay. All right. The sheltered count is going to be those people in the emergency and transitional housing, motels. Again, not those that are paid for by an agency, not grandma, not, this is the last of my savings and I'm in the hotel, or we pooled our money together because it's cold. That unfortunately doesn't count. And then the cold weather shelters will be having volunteers going to those spots. What doesn't count, and this is because the definition of that HUD uses for homelessness is a place not meant for human habitation. So permanent housing, you're not homeless. Permanent supportive or rapid rehousing programs. I just got a guy yesterday into rapid rehousing. He is no longer qualifies as homeless because his rent is paid through the end of the month. HUD VASH, those are your veterans, people that may be doubled up with friends or family. The school district counts doubled up as homeless. They go under a different definition. And so doubled up is not, it is considered homeless for the school district, but not for the PIT count. So at risk of homeless, I just got an eviction notice. Well, it's January 25th. I don't have to be out until January 30th. And you're not homeless on January 26th. If they're paying for the hotel with their own funds, shelters designed for foster care, sober living and halfway houses, those in criminal justice programs, hospitals. With the hospitals and health facilities, we've run into issues with privacy and HIPAA. And so we have some workarounds that we're trying to implement, but it is very difficult to get that information out. Okay. Well, anyway, so now there are a lot of people nowadays who are living in tiny houses, sheds, RVs. They're full-time RVers, $100,000 RV or a Sprinter van that they've converted into a tiny home. Those don't count. They are not homeless. If it has adequate facilities, bathroom facilities, utility services, climate control, that is considered housed. That is not considered unhoused. Okay. What are we asking for? These are the questions we're going to be looking for. Their name, veteran status, number of persons in the household. Then for each person, we're going to want this information. This information here, date of birth, ethnicity, gender, race, disability, all of that kind of stuff is going to be aggregated into information and sent to Washington or to our funders. Nobody is going to get their date of birth or anything like that other than us using it internally to be able to deduplicate the list. Okay? Yes.
Let me underline what you just said. We can put it in into context. We need some identifying information, deduplicate the individuals. We have 5 John Smiths. Do we actually have 5 John Smiths? Or do we have one John Smith that's been surveyed 5 times? That's the only reason that we collect it. It gets thrown out on the kitchen floor after we've done deduplicating it. None of our upload sources allow us to transmit Privacy Act protected information. Why is that important? In the current political environment of criminalization of homelessness, those that are experiencing homelessness are afraid of government entities. They're afraid of law enforcement. Just a year ago, the state of Florida enacted House Bill 1365, which made it illegal in the state of Florida to camp on public property, in public use property. So when we're surveying the folks that we're surveying, we need you to, with conviction, be able to look them in the eye and say, we're going to collect this information, but it's going nowhere. It's not leaving our community. It's not even going to the local governmental bodies, the counties, the cities, or the law enforcement agencies. It is staying in-house with my staff. And it's not even volunteers that are doing the aggregating. It's my staff that are trained in security and proper Privacy Act protections. You are going to get pushback. If you get pushback, that is okay. If somebody does not want to participate in the survey, thank them very much for their time. Wish them well. Make sure they get one of these bags that has resource information and the right telephone numbers to get them where they need to get to. We want to serve them, but they are not compelled at all to give us any survey information. You're not going to get in trouble if you don't collect a survey either. Okay. So there is always a certain percentage of the surveys that go out that are refused by the people that we're trying to survey, and that's okay. And so I want to reinforce that because that message needs to get out in the homeless community as our wonderful service providers are doing this work every day. We need to reinforce that work so that individuals know that they're on their side. They're part of the solution to bring them from the crisis that they're in. They're not a threat. And so I underline that point because it's so very important, for the dignity of the people that we're serving and also to earn their trust so that we can serve them better. So back at you.
Okay. I've already talked about the national mandate. Locally, our COC is the one, our governance council is the one that has selected the date of the 26th. And so also decided that normally a lot of communities will only do surveys for the 24 hours after the night of pit. Our community has decided to stretch that out a bit further To be honest with you, if you get to Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, most of the people have already been touched. So it's gonna, when you ask them, have you been surveyed before? Most of them are gonna say yes. So we'll do that. Okay, survey tools. We do have 3 different survey tools. The first one is gonna be on a mobile app. It is not really, it's a website. You can access it. We're going to actually practice this in a little bit on your cell phone. Pick a partner and y'all can just practice interviewing each other. We do have paper surveys for some people who are a little bit more analog than our IT department. Nudging Dan. And then those service providers, I know, but I'm looking at the camera, so I'm going to nudge him. Also those service providers who are using HMIS, their shelter, those shelters will have a separate form that they'll be doing in HMIS when they check people in on the 26th. Okay. Now, this is a side note. We learned this at one of our previous trainings from emergency management. If you are anywhere in the world and have no clue where you are, you can go to what3words.com. It is an app. You can download the app or you can use that. And so if you're out in the woods doing outreach, you don't know where the person is, you can go have your location on your phone, pull that up, and it's going to give you 3 words. Now, to give you an example, the 3 words make absolutely no freaking sense to you or me. But emergency management, 911 callers, there, if you don't know where you are, they may ask you to do that. So this is an app. The 3 words for my office are cat, colony, no, not cat, colony, cat, something, and now I've forgotten the other 2 words. But I am really lost now because I only know 1 word. But it, you know, the whole globe is gridded and it's really, it makes no sense, but it works. So if you don't know, that's just a little safety tip for you. Okay. Now, when we're doing interviews and surveys, here's a couple of steps. First off, you want to identify yourself. You know, treat others the way you want to be treated. Engage politely, explain the purpose. We do have a script that you can read off and just conversationally translate that into conversational English. Deliver this script and ask them to consent to the process of the survey. You're going to have your first 2 questions. Have you been surveyed this week? And where did you stay Monday night, the 26th? If they're eligible, go ahead and there will be a number of questions afterwards. It's what maybe like 24 questions. So it's really a quickie thing. It's not not really hard to do. And then at the end of the survey, thank them. Again, everybody's going to be given these goodie bags. Do not, if they refuse to answer the question, ask them, would you like a goodie bag anyway? It is not required. You can offer them the goodie bag, even if they do not do the survey. Okay. So, you know, this is an example of the script. Hi, my name's Tammy. I'm doing a short survey of people in our community experiencing homelessness, what kinds of problems you're facing, that kind of stuff. So it's all part of the script. We will practice this in a little bit. Okay. Those in the shelters, we do have volunteers going to the shelters to do these. Theirs is very similar, but a little bit different in that we're not walking up to strangers on the street. These are people who are coming in and registering for shelter. Again, identify yourself, follow the script, ask the 2 main questions. If they're eligible, record what their responses are. But you will have, if you're using the Hyperion app on your phone, we'll talk to you about setting up your location on that. If you're using the paper, you would just fill in the name at the top of where you are, that you're, is it a feeding program? Is it First Presbyterian? Is it something like that? Again, thank them. And if, even if they didn't want to answer any questions or they wanted to skip half of the questions, they still get a goodie bag. Okay. All right. Those of you with apples, you don't have to keep this on the whole time, but when you're doing your surveys, please remember to turn your location on. Enable and let your, on your status bar, you can turn on your location so that way it would automatically fill it in when you're doing your Hyperion survey. For Androids, that's most of us, it's already turned on, but Apple makes you turn it on, not turn it off. And so just make sure your location is on while you're using and doing the surveys. This helps us with graphing hotspots, so our outreach team knows where to go and also tells us where are the services that people are using the most. Okay. And then if you are an Android user, this is a little bit, when you get to the part where you have to ask them about their date of birth. Okay. They forgot to tell me this last year until it was almost over. So you don't have to hit that back button 300 times just to go back a few years. You just hit, God bless America. You hit the year up in that upper left-hand corner, and then it comes down and you can change it to their year of birth. So, you know, those of us from the previous century, millennium, don't have to go that far back. Okay, it's much easier to do it that way. Okay, so right now, let's take a few minutes, and those of you who are on the call, if you would take a few minutes, go using your phone. You can go to www.pitcounter.com. God bless America. Pitcounter.com. Our code is capital A8, capital K8, capital FQ. You need to have those capitals in there. Save that in your phone. And you're going to need to just go ahead and put your name and your phone number in there so that it remembers that in 2 weeks when we are doing our outreach, when we're doing our pit count. Okay. It's going to come up and it's going to be a little orange page like that. Okay. And you see where it says code, that's where you put that code in, the A8K8FQ. And so if y'all could take a few minutes.
I don't have internet for some reason.
Okay, do we have a guest or?
Yep. The Pensacola State.
PSC.
PSC State.
Okay.
I
And
don't know
there,
why my Verizon's out.
oh, Verizon is out.
Oh, well, yeah, Verizon is out.
Verizon
It's
is
a
out.
nationwide outage.
Oh, it's a nationwide outage. Go right.
Yeah,
I noticed it earlier, but I was working on my Wi-Fi at work, so.
yeah.
And folks, once you do this initial setup on your phone, when you go back to this website, it knows who you are. Okay,
Mhm.
so all I gotta do is type in pit counter. It'll pull up that website. It'll know who you are. You can start the surveys.
Mhm.
Yeah, and as Tammy said, right now we're operating that site in test mode. So you can put in surveys, you can play with the data, and don't worry, it's gonna be flushed out on the 25th. So for the night of the 26th, we have fresh, clean data.
Mhm. So if y'all would just, you know, take a few minutes to practice interviewing each other. and putting that information in. Should have like some background music.
Yeah, I'm listening to that, but as you guys are playing with it, best practices for, excuse me, for doing surveys are to partner up. So have two of you, one of you is doing the data collection and the other's asking the questions, kind of walking the individuals, through. Once you do two or three of the surveys, you'll get the flow of the questions, and the person that you're with can help you'll remember if you skip something. Yet none of us like to interact with somebody that's behind the screen and is collecting our data. So the way that I recommend doing it is enter into a conversation with the individuals and have somebody, as your sidekick doing the data entry. They can make sure that they can concentrate on the data and make sure that it's good and it's accurate and complete. You can interact with the individual and connect with them. You may be, I'm just putting on my, empathy hat. You may be the nicest person that they interact with that day. And so I take that very, very seriously in my heart. And so I would like the interactions when I'm with individuals to raise them up a little bit, drop a joke, smile, ask them where they're from, where they're rooting for in the Super Bowl, anything like that to show them that we recognize the humanity that they are part of. And then you have somebody who's getting the good data, which I really need, right? So it serves two purposes. It helps our community and helps us get the data. Does anyone have any questions on the app at all?
And again, it's in training mode. So if you wanted to go home and interview your grandchildren or neighbor or anybody just to practice, that's perfectly fine. The 25th, it all gets deleted and we get into the actual mode. Okay. All right. And those of you who are online, again, just please remember to write down the code and the website address so that you can get to this during PIT. Okay? It's in the chat. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, take a picture of that screen. That's one of the best screens. So, if y'all. And even though we're in training mode now, it's still going to be the same code. Okay. All right. Well, come on. Okay. Hey.
I'll do this one.
Okay.
Okay. I'm old school. I like paper. Paper you can write notes on, paper you can skip around quickly. Once you learn the survey, you can literally just go down each of the data fields quickly. Someone can check it all off and off you go. Can you pull up the representation? Okay. Surveys around the United States are designed this way. It's unique to this community.
Oh, you're welcome. Anyone's phone? Is that me?
Yeah. No.
No?
Create. Oh, no.
Thank you.
And hopefully they're not Verizon customers. The surveys are designed for us to get as much data as possible, obviously. The page one is critical. We need the data elements are on page one. If we have that, if you only get to the bottom of page one, but get good data, we're good. I got a survey that we can count. I have enough to deduplicate. I have enough of the demographics to feed into my demographic reporting system, and I count that survey. Page two really helps the community. It gives us a lot better idea of the length of time homelessness, the number of times homeless, if they've come to our community from someplace else, things that at much more local level we use to inform our programming. Page one is critical. If you can get all the way through page two, that's great. I'll give you $20. Maybe not, but page 2 is great, but don't, so the reason that I share this is people often get flustered. They get to here and the individuals we're surveying get kind of bored. They're eyeing the bag. They see there's the line for the meal service is getting short. They're hungry, and then they take off. That's okay. That is to be expected. If you get me to the bottom of that first page, score. You're done. You have done your job. You have gotten us enough data that we can, we can use that data. The rest of this, hey, if they're chatting, they want to chat. All right, let's get us the rest of that. That's going to help us with a lot more finer tuned data for analysis. But bottom line, get me to the bottom of that first page. You've done your job.
How often do you get their social security number?
All we're asking for is last 4.
Okay.
The gold standard, okay, for a good page 1 survey is first name, last 4, date of birth.
Gender.
If you got, the gender's on there, but for deduplication, if we have first name, last name, and date of birth, we're probably okay. We have first name, last 4, we're okay. What was the other one? That's it.
Yeah.
Name, last 4, and date of birth. Those are the 3 elements universally that our systems, our HUD mandated systems, allow us to use as deduplication tools. It's very common for individuals not to want to share their last name. That's okay. First name, last initial. First name, last initial, date of birth, year of birth, any permutation that allows us to go in the system and look up all the John C's born in 69. Okay, there are only 1. Okay, so we got it. And for you guys specifically, street names are okay too. Right? I got my team paying attention to street names now. And I know it's easier to get a street name than it is to get a proper name. If they're using a street name though, date of birth and last 4 allow us to put those pieces together. And so, and we're not asking, this is not an ID check, but we're not asking you, in fact, we're telling you, do not verify with the individual. Don't ask for any proof. If you see they're wearing a badge that has their name on it, you can't really use that. It's what they are self-reporting. So that being said, if you're in Escambia and somebody is being served by the Washburn, and you got that information, please go ahead and use it because I know that's vetted. But other waterfront as well. But those are subtleties. So the bottom line though is get me page 1, and I'm so happy for that data, and everything else just makes it better. Sorry, Tam.
No. Actually, if you prefer that I have the sample, the draft of the paper survey, it is not allowed to leave this room because it is only the draft, but it gives you kind of an idea to look and see what you would feel more comfortable using. So just make sure I get those papers back before you leave the room. Otherwise, Dan will fuss at me. So, okay. All right, but that kind of gives you an idea of the questions we're going to be asking. Okay. All right. I'm going to skip the HMIS PID data and go through this, but this is part of our HMIS system. This will be the stuff that the shelters will be inputting. Okay. So good tips. Good survey tips. Obviously, treat people the way you want to be treated. Respect. Give them space. And keep in mind, everything that they have with them is everything they have. So, don't go touching their belongings or them. They may be that, walked up, I was putting the signs out front and I walked up and I saw this man sitting by my truck and and then I realized it was Edward. So, it's like, why is he leaning on my truck? Um, Also, don't crowd or hover. If they're laying down on the ground, you don't want to be leaning over them. You wouldn't want anybody to be leaning over you and startle you while you were sleeping. God bless America. Okay. Where did you go? Okay. Crowd hover. Also, gain permission before you sit down next to somebody. Is this seat taken? They may be saving it for a friend. If you're at like a feeding site or something like that, or especially if we're entering encampments. Um, be kind. Don't judge. Treat people with dignity and respect. Don't judge their choices. Those are their life choices. Acknowledge, smile. It's always, you catch more bees with honey than you do vinegar. So if the person says or gestures that they didn't want to talk, that's fine. Would you like a bag anyway? You can have one. And if they say no, that's okay. You don't force it on them. They have their right. And again, go ahead and introduce yourself. You may not want to, give them your personal telephone number, but hi, my name is Tammy. I'm glad to meet you. Is it okay if we chat for a little bit? Please go ahead, and I'm going to go over the items that we're going to include in the bags. And if they refuse, don't still offer them the bag. So, here are some of the things that we've got. We've got these goodie bags that are going to be stuffed. We're having the goodie bag stuffing party on Friday. So we've got that. And some of the items that we've gotten donated and are still gathering, things like toothbrush, toothpaste, uh, I just realized lip balm. This time of year, lip balm and moisturizer are real popular. We've got these thermal blankets, these foil and rain ponchos. We have a number of different people. I just got a big box of hats and gloves last night. So we're still collecting these. If you're in the mood and want to do your own knitting thing, we need 1,500 by Friday. So you can. It doesn't have to be store bought. Um, Toothpaste, individually wrapped snacks. These are one things that we are collecting, as well as like hand warmers. Sunshine Health has donated a bunch of these towels that they can use to wash and dry themselves and that kind of stuff. And we have socks out the wazoo. So after we stuff all of these, we'll be giving them out to organizations to share, because I got another big box of socks yesterday. Some of the food items besides the individually wrapped, things like Vienna sausages and the stew, but you want to keep in mind that they don't have can openers. So you want to look for things with the pop top. But you also want to look for things that don't need to be cooked. These are some of the donations that have graciously come in through our donation drive, but these are things that really are not appropriate for our people, because they don't have the facilities to be able to cook their own meals. Everything they have is what they're carrying. A big container like this is gonna either go to waste, because they'll eat a little bit of it and then throw the rest of it away. So a big container is really not gonna, or cans that don't have the pop top. Things that need to be microwaved, they don't have access to that. Or this is literally how it came in. So it's not expired yet, but, it's been better days. So, those are the kinds of things. Each bag will contain one of these wristbands. For the Escambia County, actually, anybody who can get to an ECAT bus stop with this wristband can get to our event on Thursday, the 29th at Brownsville Community Center. This wristband is free ECAT bus fare to and from the Brownsville Community Center. So here in Santa Rosa County, they would have to get to the bus stop that is in Escambia County, but from there, they'd be able to ride the bus for free with one of these wristbands. We'll also have in these bags a number of different flyers and information. We've got cards from Favor House and from 988, the suicide prevention hotline, and we're still collecting those. So if you've got flyers that you want for your business, we can include those in our gift bags. Okay.
Yeah, Tammy, it's
Yes.
been sipping along pretty good.
It has.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
so I'll help you get to where you need it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where it was. Okay. So, yeah, I don't know how to turn it off. Couple of things not to do. This is number one for your safety and for your for the safety of our volunteers and the clients that we're not disturbing, that we're interviewing. If somebody is sleeping, really you don't want to be disturbed. You zacked out in your recliner. Well, that park bench is their recliner for right now. You don't want to touch somebody without permission. Do not enter the woods or poorly lit areas. Our surveys will end at sunset. So we want you out of there and done. A couple of our shelters, the brick and mortar locations that are open after dark, we may be sending our staff and the staff of other agencies, but we're going to try and keep our volunteers out of those places after dark. The big thing is, please do not give out money. If it is not in this bag, do not give it out. If a person, also, if if you've got the paper flyers or the a Hyperion app on your phone, don't let them fill it out. Number one, the paper flyers, we need to be able to read their handwriting. Also, please don't give out your personal information. It's for your safety. I have my personal phone, but I also have my company phone. I will give that number out. If you're out with me, I'll give that one out all day long, but I will not give out my personal phone number. God bless America. Also, if you observe somebody who is experiencing an emergency, they may be, or you can see that they're discolored, they're having trouble breathing, there's some discharge coming from their mouth, or they may look like they're in pain or something. Do not hesitate to contact 911. Explain to them that you are a volunteer doing the point in time count, and that you have come across this person and they appear to be in distress. And we do have a Escambia Sheriff and PPD. We have talked to them. They will have units on standby while we're doing this, not to arrest anybody, but if anybody has any trouble or issues, they want to be available so we don't have to wait a long time.
And
Go ahead.
let me underline, let's assume nobody here, well, can't say that. Everybody here but Niels, I assume, probably doesn't have a medical training background. Okay, we assume that our volunteers do not. you please use your common sense. If you had a family member or a loved one, and you see the condition of the person that you're interacting with, if they were your family member and you're concerned for their medical safety, call 911. Don't hesitate. That is the only medical service these individuals have. The ER is how the majority of our unhoused population receives basic medical care. So don't hesitate. The same as Tammy mentioned, if you fear for your safety, the safety of others, or the safety of the person that you're interacting with, 911, get law enforcement out. That's what they're paid for. Don't hesitate to do it. Nobody's going to get in trouble. Since I'm talking about law enforcement, we're going to have cool volunteer badges for everyone. This does not get you out of traffic infractions. And there's a reason why I'm saying that. I had staff almost get arrested for running 3 red lights in a row. So please be out there and be safe. No, the other place I was. Last thing to not do. And I think Tammy's done a wonderful job articulating the fact that we must be very respectful of the individuals that we're working with. Not please, you will not take images and post on social media those that we are surveying. That is forbidden. That is very disrespectful. You will see people living in conditions that, if you're not familiar with it, are very shocking and disheartening. And you may think that by advertising that on social media, you will help somehow. Please don't do that. Out of the respect for the individuals that we're serving, the only thing that you take away is a survey, whether it's digital or hard copy. Okay, and a smile. That being said, putting my marketing hat on, offensive, when you're out there and your team's ready to go and you got surveys, selfie the hell out of that and get it on social media. You're part of Kid 26. All right?
Mhm.
You can do that. If you're out with your crew, with your friends, with your next door neighbors, take those pictures, get them out there, help us get awareness that there are homeless in our community that we need to help them. So please do that. I know you guys do an awesome job. I follow you guys. And I know you guys do it the right way. So I honor to that. And there's one other, don't do it. Oh, it's not on the list. It needs to be for next one. Do not transport individuals that we're surveying in your own personal vehicles. Just do not do that. That is not a safe practice. We have very special protocols on how we allow our staff and our assets to be used. No, just do not do that for everyone's safety, to include the individual that you're serving. Maybe, Edward is a terrible driver, and actually I drove with him. It wasn't bad. So maybe he's a terrible driver and he's given somebody a ride. He smashes up, either takes a life or injures somebody. That's on him. That's on my agency. So please do not feel compelled. Do not give rides. Do not give rides. Do not take selfies with our clients, and do not post those. Back at you.
Okay. Yes, Neil.
Do you ever have instances where someone says, oh, I need something, I need a bike, I need whatever, and then what do you do with that intake? How did that get transferred over to you guys to actually get this?
If you're using the Hyperion app, at the very end of the survey, there is a spot for notes. And so you can put on there and then that will be flagged. On the paper survey, you can just write in client request notes, request a bicycle or something like that. There's no guarantee we're going to be able to do that, but we may be able to connect them. Just make sure if they're wanting a follow-up, we've got a way to contact them. So we have a phone number, an email, or something that we can contact them. And you can put that in the notes section, or you can put it onto the form.
And also this year, we're going to have basically a help desk. During the hours of pit at our offices, we're going to have 2 dedicated staff with a special phone line that Edward hooked up for me. You're going to get that in your volunteer packet, what that number is. So we're going to have staff there to answer simple questions and hard questions. And you bring up a really great point. There's a proverbial, this has happened to me. rolling up on a car early in the morning, mom with a 4-month-old and 3 other minor children. Okay, we all know that that's a severe crisis. Okay, you may not know how to solve that severe crisis, but somebody in our homeless response network does and needs to know about it. And so in those cases where you come across somebody that is in that level of crisis, perhaps they're a victim of human trafficking. I heard you mention that. Okay, I may not know all the resources here, but I know that's a terrible thing and that person's life's in jeopardy. You call our numbers, we have the staff, we have the law enforcement contacts, we have the family shelter and we'll figure out a way to get them. If I have to Uber mom with 4-month-old to a shelter to get them there safely, I'll find the money to Uber them. So we're gonna have a staff that you can call, so you don't have to chase anybody down. Don't do it for everybody, because we don't have the capacity to do that. But if in your common sense, this is truly a life-threatening circumstance for somebody, I'll have the staff dedicated to get that information in so that we can do a very solid handoff and get that individual or family paired with the services that we have to make sure that we serve them. And so that's a great question, because we are going to run into people that are in crisis, and some of them are in very dire straits. So thank you. Great question.
Okay. Couple of
There is
things,
no place for phone number or email.
just write it in on blank space. Yeah.
Right, right there, their telephone number, circle it, big stars,
Yeah.
needs a bite, needs shelter. That's why I
Okay.
like paper.
And one last question.
Sure.
Mhm.
What percentage of the people have a cell phone? It's very high.
They have there's a high percentage, they have cell phones, they may not have service, they may not be charged. So there is a high percentage, a lot of them will sit outside or near a fast food restaurant and use their Wi-Fi for phone calls and that kind of stuff, but keeping it charged and keeping minutes on their phone is sometimes an issue, but there's a high percentage that have phones.
My experience is 70 to 80%. If you have an EBT SNAP card, you can get a phone for free.
You get 1,000 minutes, you get unlimited
If you
data.
keep it, that's the challenge.
Yeah.
It gets damaged, it gets stolen.
Mhm. Yes, sir.
Can you refer people to other, let's say, agencies in the communities? Take, for example, Ferris Hill. Okay, I just want to make certain, okay?
Oh, fair. No, great, excellent question. Yeah,
Okay.
excellent. So we are all part of the homeless continuum of care. Everyone in this room is part of an agency, and a service provider. We're all here to serve. So if you, based on your experience and your knowledge, if you know somebody would benefit from Ferris Hill, please share that information.
Okay.
They have a cold night shelter. I know they provide a certain number of services. Offensive, is a wonderful outreach. And I view them as the conduit for many of our homeless to get into the response system. Right, they're street outreach, and they do a lot with substance abuse. But as you identify needs of individuals, if you can get them into the system anyway, we can draw them further along.
I've worked as a bike mechanic, so I typically go to places and I look for people to help with their bicycles. Okay. That's okay and appropriate, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
If you're helping,
I
yeah.
just want to I don't want to find out later, oh, no, you shouldn't have done that. Okay.
No, helping with that's the same as a healthcare provider, going to a shelter and doing checkups or physicals, right? Or a mental health provider sitting and doing therapeutics and counseling on a pro bono basis. So yes,
Okay, thank you.
yeah,
Yeah.
No, I did not
Would
lie.
it be appropriate for us to have dog visits?
yes. Tammy is notorious for having dog visits and dog food with her.
Because I noticed so many
Yeah.
of the homeless have dogs.
And that is a good gateway to conversation. But then again, just keep in mind, the dog may not be friendly. I know, I don't know of a single dog that wouldn't love me, but I'm sure there's one out there. And so, just your,
It's a treat to the owner.
yeah, is it okay if I give your dog a treat?
Yeah.
And most of the time they have no problem with it. Or can I give you a treat for the dog?
Right.
Something like that, but just don't go reaching for the dog if you
Right.
don't know how well behaved it is or how receptive it is. Just a couple of quick tips. Y'all have been reading it the whole time it's been up here. Be weather aware. Be dressed for the appropriate weather. You know that our Florida weather is schizophrenic, and hopefully this year we're not having another 10 inches of snow on Pitt. But also you don't know where you're going, and I have literally seen people in high heel sandals trying to do street outreach. Always, always, always. You don't know where you're going, what's in the parking lot, even if you're going into a soup kitchen or something like that. Wear closed-toe shoes just for safety purposes. Always stay in your group. Be able to keep within eyesight of your group. Wear comfortable, warm clothing and shoes. If you've got a backpack with you with flashlight, water, make sure if you're going to be using the cell phone app, make sure that it's fully charged before you go out there. We're only going to be doing like 2 or 3 hour shifts, so it's not like you have to have your cell phone charged for 8 hours. Just, make sure you got it well charged. Also, if you're going into a strange place, make sure you understand your exit route. Trust your judgment. If you start getting the spidey senses that say this is not a good situation, excuse yourself, and I'd rather have you get out of there even if we don't get everybody surveyed. Because you may start hearing people arguing over, around the corner or something, and it turns into a bad situation. So, yes, sir.
How big are teams? So minimum 2 or 3?
Minimum
5,
of 2, maybe it depends on the location. We may send 5 to 10, maybe teams of 4. It all depends on the location and the volume that they have. So one of our staff members has been calling all of the brick and mortar locations to find out what their volume is. So like Loaves and Fishes has a morning breakfast but we can only interview and survey the outside of their building. And so we're going to have enough people outside of their building to interview these people while they're in line to get the morning breakfast. So it all depends on the different situation, what size teams we've got.
And that's also a function of how many volunteers we get too.
Mhm.
The goal is optimal be teams of 3, that there's one experienced pit interviewer. That would be site, if it's a fixed site, that'd be the site lead, or if it's a street team, there's a street team lead. And then you have 2 volunteers that are less experienced, helping them, providing them support. But you have one experienced individual that, make sure that we get good data, make sure everyone's, operates safely. And we're just getting our arms around all the different volunteers. And so by Tuesday, so when we get back from the Martin Luther King holiday, look for communication from us as we start identifying, okay, here's our need, here are the days, the times, the locations that we need. And we're going to ask you when and where you want to go. And then based upon that, we'll figure out who we're going to plug you into at the location. And so we're because of a lot of stuff going on with HUD, we're a little bit behind the power curve right now. But now I have to dedicate my staff specifically for Pitt for the next 2 weeks, actually 3 weeks.
Mhm. Okay, and please, on that note, because we will be in contact with you, make sure that if you have not already registered on the form on our website, as a volunteer, please fill that information out. Make sure that we can read your handwriting on your sign-in sheet, and if you're on the call as an online participant, then just make sure that if you're not registered, we've got your email and contact information get in touch with somebody from the Opening Doors office. Okay?
How many volunteers
We're,
would you like? I mean,
100.
we'd like 100. We're about 74 today.
The way that this works is if we get 100, 80 will show up. So I'm asking staff to get us 140, so
Yeah.
100 will show up.
Mhm.
The more volunteers we have out in the community, the more data we can collect.
Mhm.
And so if anyone here, has a source of volunteers, would greatly appreciate it.
We do, it's just, they're not gonna make the training. They're gonna come with us on our teams, but
You guys are different.
Yeah.
You're a service provider. We know you know our population, so, we just need to coordinate well. And we're gonna have another outreach meeting, like for instance, I'm owning Waterfront. Yeah, I'm gonna make sure that I coordinate with Waterfront. I don't want any other team within 3 blocks of Waterfront. I don't have the staff there, and there are other locations that so we need to talk about some locations to make sure there's not overlap. But your folks that are your volunteers as well as your staff, just cover the basics with them. You're doing this every day.
Yeah. So a lot of this, yeah.
Yeah, and also on training, if perhaps you can identify 10, 15, 20 folks that would like to volunteer, we'll come back out and we'll do this training for them. And my number is 10. It's worth my staff time. If there are 10 volunteers, and sure 9 would be fine, but I would prefer 10 or more. And we'll get a team to come out and train them.
Okay. All right. Just real quick, again, the dog situation, just we're counting humans. We're not counting the animals, but also just make sure you don't know their temperament and that kind of stuff. And if you do have an emergency, do not hesitate to contact 911. Okay. And okay. So health considerations. Number one, being out on the street, being homeless, that is a stressor, and that will lower our clients' they may not necessarily be immune compromised, but it affects their health. And so you don't know what they're carrying, they don't know what you're carrying. If you are feeling ill, it is okay to call in sick that day. We don't want you to spread something or to catch something. Okay. This is a slide from COVID, so take it in that vein. But the flu this year is pretty bad. So you may feel fine now, but come the 27th or the 28th when you're scheduled to go out, if you're running a fever, not feeling good, it's okay. We'll get back up. Okay. Any questions?
Here's the data.
Go back a couple of times.
Yeah, that's an important one.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay. Come on. Okay. So, we've already had the December, on Friday, bag stuffing party. The more the merrier. We have all of this stuff and we'll be packing up 1,500 bags. We have the training this one is today. We have one more tomorrow. Tomorrow night, January 26th is the night of pit. The survey period is the 27th through the 31st. On the 29th, Escambia is having their eye count event. That is going to be a community service a stand down, and we'll have a number of different vendors there. And then, and thanks to Offensive, we will have a mini eye count on Friday, the 30th, from 10 to 1 in East Milton. That information was supposed to be sent out last night or this morning. And so we're starting to get that registration rolling for agencies that would like to be there. In that case, it is a BYOE, bring your own everything. Table, chair, tent, water, power.
We got the water.
Huh?
I'll make sure we've got the water,
We'll make sure, okay.
but everything else you got to cover.
Yeah. I will have the big Opening Doors van, we have electricity, limited electricity through that. We have Wi-Fi through that. But I mean, this is a person's property, private property. It's a corner lot on Highway 90, and they have graciously donated the use of this property. And so we just want to, there's not a whole lot the infrastructure there to be used, but this is our first time being able to do that. Yes, sir.
Where's that location in San Jose County?
Where is that location? It's on Kim Street, but it's in East Milton.
Yes, across the bridge, right past 87, down there on the right, it backs up to the farms. And that's why it's in that location, because there's a big population within the farms that we're gonna invite out.
What's the closest landmark to them? I'm not real familiar with that. Okay.
Like Chef Eight's Road,
Across the street.
across the street from Chef Eight's.
Yeah,
Chef Eight's area.
close area, yeah, across the street. And she has a little, she's our outreach lead, and she has a little food pantry there as well. So people are accustomed to coming there. And so our outreach will go out and spread the word that on this day we'll be here and make sure we get everybody drawn out.
I think I may have seen that, so.
Yeah.
I live in East Milton, so,
Okay.
but Piggly Wiggly.
Yeah, we're over there, you know.
Yeah, so
Where is it in comparison to the Piggly Wiggly? I know where that is.
Piggly Wiggly is on 87, right?
Right,
Back down towards 90,
right,
then take a right on 90,
okay,
and it's just up there.
It's down there by the prisons.
okay.
Yeah, I know prisons.
I've been there.
Yeah.
So the concept of the eye count is, it's an opportunity for service providers like ourselves, offensive and anyone that wants to provide supportive services to be in one location, and those experiencing homelessness can come to that location. So we're going to be there doing homeless certifications that the individuals can take to the tax collector and get a free state ID, for instance. We'll do intakes into the homeless management system to see who the individuals can be referred out to. And so anyone that wants to come to that, if you're providing supportive services for homeless, you're welcome to be there. Offensive's the lead on it. And thank you for doing that. I felt very strongly that if whatever my job, I'm only 30 days into it, but I need to grow our response here in Santa Rosa County to match what Escambia County has going on. And so Offensive has been a wonderful partner with that. Are you doing that? Oh, no. Yeah. Okay, yeah. And we're speaking out with the camera, so sorry, it's very distracted. I'm sorry, Niels, you had a question?
Well, I think you answered. I'm the new guy here, and so pardon the ignorance, but I count as country. What is I count?
So, yeah, I count as a multi.
Kind of explain it a little bit, but maybe there's more to it.
Yeah, and so that was something that our agency started, what, like 5-6 years ago?
Oh, 15.
About 15 or 20 years ago, apparently. Where we would get local government to donate a location, right, to hold it. In Escambia, the public transit will provide free bus travel to that community center. And for instance, in Escambia, the tax collector comes out and will actually issue IDs there. So individuals can come to us for homeless certification. They take to the next table, the tax collector, and they get a free state issued ID.
If they are already real ID compliant. If not, there is another agency that can assist them to order their birth certificate. eComfort will be there to order birth certificates, and then they can come back to us once they get the birth certificate and can get their ID.
So that started in Escambia, and have we ever done it here?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, so we're doing it here now, and going forward, we are going to include Santa Rosa in that planning. This is going to be a test case for Santa Rosa, obviously, but going forward, it's my obligation across the two counties to ensure that those experiencing homelessness have equal access to supportive services. And if in my service area, one one county has substandard service, we're doing that county a disservice. And so I only committed to it when Offensive stepped up and said, they would help with it. And you're such a committed partner here, so thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
What time is that one, the 29th?
The one on the 29th, that one starts at 9 to 1. And you do need to register through the county. That one is being hosted by Escambia County. And so if you contact Elizabeth Kissel, he's the one that has the registrations for that. I think there are copies of the registration forms on our website or social media. So if you want to remind me.
Send an email out with it.
Oh, yeah, she sent many emails out with it.
And so there's still time if you want to have a display there. I think there's still time. I can make sure there's time for you guys. And if, do you have, Jan, did you get it from Liz?
I got it from Elizabeth.
Okay, but I would love to see you there either as a vendor, participating, or if you just want to stop by to see what's going on, you're certainly welcome there. And so, my goal is to have a brick and mortar location here for next year where we can, get the more of the county services out here doing that work in Santa Rosa as well.
My only question is, because we ran into this with the VA stand downs, when you do the eye count, you have law enforcement present.
Mm,
I know what you're going with that. No, there will be a sheriff's deputy outside the Brown Center, and that's just for the, part of my language, the oh shit, if they need to go do something, but they're not gonna be doing warrant checks.
It's a two-edged sword because you have trouble getting vendors there because there is no law enforcement.
Yep.
You have trouble getting clients there because there is law enforcement.
mhm.
And
But
I-
one of
I
our,
wonder if that has been addressed differently than the last time I participated with it all.
I believe that there are enough within the service provider community that are trained in de-escalation techniques and know and have earned the respect of the people we're serving, that we should not have a public safety risk. And if we do, it's the same public safety risk that you would have at a mall somewhere. And none of us can be prepared for those random acts of violence. Now that's where I'm coming from. Everything that I'm seeing is a well-run event so far. I'm looking forward to seeing it actually happen.
It has been a great event. So,
And I know it's Maureen's baby, if I'm.
It
She
is.
started it, bless her.
She started it. Yeah, we did it in the parking lot of a church the first time, and then moved to the Salvation Army building for a while. If you want to take pictures, these are our emails to contact Martika, myself, or Sarah. Why?
Is that the screen?
What?
It says you're done, Tammy. That's what it says you are, so out of time.
I am?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're shooting for an hour.
Yeah,
So compelling.
we had good questions. Okay. All right. And
So thank you.
thank y'all
for your
for
time.
coming.
And being part of this, being part of the community as we, go out and serve the community. And so just look for that email communication with us as we drill down to the details. And if you have questions, you've got those folks' email addresses, reach out to them. Anyone that wants my card, I'm happy to connect. I want to connect with you before I go. And thank you, and thank you, Tammy and Edward. And as always, yes, sir.
I saw no proselytizing, which I agree with, okay, evangelizing, let's put it that way. It seems like I get myself involved in those conversations regardless, okay?
Oh, no, Tan.
What I'm saying is, let's say they initiate a conversation dealing with religion. Is that fair? Is it all?
So I go back to my grandma Katie. Grandma Katie taught me there are three things that are not topics for polite conversation:
Oh,
sex, religion, politics.
Ariana.
Okay, so what I do is if any of those three topics come up, I politely steer away from it. Make a wonderful day out. You're wearing a New York Giants hat, oh, go Giants, right?
Okay.
And so I'm a government funded entity, so we serve everyone regardless of ideology or religion. You do what you want. If, on the other side, if you are a person of faith and an individual asks you to pray with them, why would you not?
Okay, that's really, I'm a former minister,
Okay.
so I just seem to get myself, and it's hard to back out of those. Now, I don't argue that,
Sure.
that's foolishness on my part.
Right.
Okay,
Don't open the door, but if our survey
that's what I'm saying.
participant opens the door, you can go in as far as you want to go in.
Okay, that's really where I want to go with it. Because like I said, I don't think that's the point of time to be doing that kind of activity.
No,
Okay,
no, but if
you find yourself there sometimes.
so, well, don't pass out Bibles, please. This is not the time and place for it.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's not the moment.
You know, and so, and you know, and so anyway, so a great question. But everyone just use your common sense and be safe, you know. Don't get arrested. Awesome, well, great, and thank you so much.
CC, did you have?
I do have a question. Well, I'll go and ask two out loud.
No, don't go.
First of all,
Okay.
we had gone over the map, that the Escambia County EMA director had compiled, and then, Offensive and others contributed as far as other locations that were known as San Jose County. I had reached out to code enforcement and EMA here, but I haven't heard from anybody.
You don't have to
Have
either.
you all heard from
That's why I
anyone?
tried
Or
to take
reached out
control.
to see if they might be able to give us any additional locations that we may not already be aware of?
Did you reach out to the lifeguard? And the reason I'm saying that is because
Did you know
that
what
map
happened
is
last Thursday?
developed. What's that?
I
Lifeguard?
said, you know what happened last Thursday, but go ahead. So no, sir, I didn't follow up
Oh,
on that.
yeah,
part of
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
I was doing other stuff.
Lifeguard, and the reason why I say that is because Travis's map from Escambia County, that was developed through their emergency response. And so if lifeguard, the paramedic response here, they could have something comparable.
Right. Okay.
Where the hot spots are, where they're showing up to people that are listed as unsheltered.
Right, and so in Escambia, they're instrumented to, in the reporting, if an individual is unsheltered, in their reporting software, they have a checkbox. And so all that data is collected over a year, so they can pinpoint the homeless engagement for the EMS, for the paramedics. And then they also have the same instrumentation with code enforcement. So when code enforcement's called out to go to camps, they get that data. We're here in Santa Rosa right now. Dan is back building a map, a heat map for Santa Rosa. But I'd love to share it with you all. And if you can help us identify areas that we didn't capture, that would be useful.
Who is that?
Dan, got the mullet on my staff.
Open the doors there?
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if it's called a mullet, but it sure looks a lot like one.
We know what you were describing. Yeah, the other question, I know Offensive was gathering donations. I didn't know if we were putting together care bags or combining them with overflow and everything's gonna be stuffed at one time and then be distributed.
Which stuff are you talking about?
I'm sorry, for those bags that we're gonna hand out for those that we're gonna be serving.
It depends on the location they were brought into. Because like Socios, for example, that's our outreach stuff and doesn't necessarily fall in line with what they're asking for, but then the stuff that we have at the location, like Jessica's stuff and all that.
Yeah,
We need to have that for the bag stuffing for.
yeah,
For Friday.
Yeah.
for Friday. That's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Hey, we're doing a pick count stuff or donations we need. So
Yeah.
everything's gonna be combined with overflow to do one party.
Yeah, if we're gonna all bring it over here, but not the Socios stuff.
I got you. Yeah, just the pick count donation.
And thank you for hosting this.
Yes, thank
We
you.
very much appreciate. Great facility.
Me.
And I love that feature on the PowerPoint that keeps.
Brad,
Can
can you help me get some hard cam?
So-
Let them in my truck. I get some.
Through
How
us.
many
And
cases?
then we grant them
How many cases?
providers like overflow water.
Yeah, I'll test it. I got-
We are with the music director.
Oh, shit, my location is-
Yeah. That's I'm actually. I'm the, I have, the TOC, which is the, collaboration between all of the different outreach providers and things and that kind of stuff. So we're trying to productively coordinate those efforts.
It's more of a funding source.
Funding and coordination source.
That's good. So like, that's just some reason they started helping out with.
You know, big one.
So who's doing this?
I live in.
In that?
We can, is great. Machines and.
But I didn't know that because I didn't see it on.
It's funding came through.
Oh, it's really cool.